Okay, as in my last email, I wanted to give you some additional information on couple of points. One regarding the current class on data sourcing and some on the exercise number 8 and some on the project design. So let me start with the considerations on data sourcing. You have the video, so you should be able to go through the slides with no problem. I want just to review this point, this data exploration projects, and let me go over here. So basically, I put together a sort of methodology for what we are doing because one of the issues that I had in the first editions of 624 was the fact that students didn't know exactly how to do the projects, how to create the data exploration, data analysis that they've been required to do. So basically, in data mining in a broad sense, there is not just data exploration. There are standards or methodologies to extract data. Those two, SEMA and CRISP-DM, are the most popular. SEMA kind of disappeared from the radar screen. CRISP-DM is still there and is still active. CRISP-DM stands for cross-industry standard process for data mining. So 6 phases. Some of the phases are not, applicable to what we are doing now. So I basically created a sort of downsized version of the CRISP-DM, and let me go here. So basically, you have business understanding where you define what you are going to do, data understanding, meaning you are defining what is the data set or the data sets that you are going to use, data preparation, that is basically cleaning the data and do whatever is necessary to prepare for the analysis that you are going to do. And then you do the data representation, that is a combination of analysis and visualization. So based on that, I created a template that is available, let me go back here, that is available right here in at the very bottom of your canvas in additional resources. You have additional info. And you have data exploration template, and is a PowerPoint, meaning that you can use it, you can modify. You do not need to do your reports in PowerPoint. You can do any other tool, including Word, creating a document, but the steps will be the same. So let me go back here. So the template, that is that file that I pointed out in Canvas, basically you define project goals and conditions. That is sort of repetition of what will be the business understanding, but it is more general and in more verbose way. So what are the project's goals? What are the key questions you are trying to address? What are the conditions limiting? It's basically a sort of overview of the whole project. And then you start the CRISP, and instead of CRISP-DM, it's CRISP-DE, where DE is for data exploration. The 4 phases. So you start with the business understanding, where you define the business requirements and goals, and you want to be sure that you describe in a clear way the business needs and the steps you need to do to address them. Then data understanding, meaning you collect the data, you assess the quality of data, and you perform a sort of preliminary exploration. You have a data description, what are the sources, the organization, the key characteristics, and then you will run some statistical tests to understand the data, number of records, distribution, things like that. Data preparation, in data understanding, even if you run statistics, you do not change what is in the data set. In data preparation, you will change it. So you will do the cleaning, you will do the transformation if needed. Let's say that you want to normalize. You do not know how to normalize, but it's basically everything you need to do changing the data to make them to make the data workable. So eventually you change the format, you remove some of the lines because they are not usable. Whatever you need to do is part working on the data and transforming the data. This is part of the data preparation. Data representation, that's the end of the process somehow, where you do all the descriptive statistics on the data set that has been prepared in the previous phase, and you eventually do the visualization. Then you do conclusions. Eventually you will state here what are the limitations of the analysis and possible future developments. And then you will have attachments. You do not want in the core of the report to have too many tables, too many graphs, too many numbers. You want to add within the report, and you have to add everything that will be necessary to support the narrative that you are creating in the report. Again, even if it's an attachment, it has to be readable. You do not want 1 million row table in one page. Creating reports, sometimes I spoke about that in the last live session. I published a video that I created in a previous session, in a previous semester, that is this creating report. I encourage you to watch it because there is a sort of reinforcement of some of the messages that are really important. Again, if for the final you will release a report that is a collection of tables and that's it, you will get a low grade. So grading will be based on the quality of the report and the quality of the script, but it's a combination of the two. It's not just the quality of the script. A good script will not give you 100% of the possible points. Now, let me go for a second in the project design that is somehow related to that. So in the project design, I placed again the data exploration PowerPoint that you will find as well right here in the additional info, and there we go. Project design. So basically, as a final, you will do a project. So project will be a data exploration one. You will pick your own data set, you will pick your own data analysis. So it's a data analysis assignment, and from your standpoint, it's a sort of, I'm giving you a sort of blank check. So there is not much money involved, I'm sorry about that. You will write your own project based on your own data set and your own analysis. You do not want to do something that is too complex because you may not have time to do that. You do not want to do something that is too easy because you will get low grade. So before doing that, you need to be approved. Please pay attention to that. You need to be approved for the project design. If I do not have a project design for your project, you cannot submit the final project. If you do so, you will get 0 grade because there is no authorization. So I want to be sure that each one of you will submit unique final projects, and I want to approve the project before you do it. To get the approval, you need to do the project design. That is what you are asked to do starting from this week. And for the project design, you need to find a data set that is appropriate for the analysis that you want to do. And then you will create a Word or PDF file with your name, the URL of where the dataset can be found, considering I do not want just, if you are going to data.gov, I do not want to see the URL data.gov and that's it, but I want the specific pointer to the specific dataset, like this one in bold character. So URL, brief description of the dataset, brief description of the analysis you want to perform on the dataset, and then what is the source of the data, and what is the type of the data. It can be text, can be numbers, can be combination, whatever. Then number of records and sample, and you will use the checkfile.py program that is that you will find on Canvas. It's this one. And that's it. So you will create a Word PDF file with all of this. So assignments are individual and has to be unique. Different students can use the same dataset, but they need to perform different analysis on it. The dataset analysis needs to be approved by me or the TA. We have no TA in this case, based on first come, first serve principle, meaning if two students are submitting the same analysis and the same dataset, the first one in time order will be approved, the second one will be rejected, meaning that you need to either change the dataset or change the analysis. If your proposal has been refused, then you need to submit a new one. So, and those are basically generic notes. Okay, so again, be sure that by July the 30th you will submit your project design. I can be flexible in terms of time. There is no grade for this submission. Again, no grade, 0 points, as you can see, but you need to submit it in order to be able to do the project in 2 weeks. Going on when, so we basically are in data sourcing project and showcase and samples and exercise 8. We will go to exercise 8 in a second. So basically the project is due on the 5th of August. So you have time, but you do not have a huge amount of time. So you cannot start the final if you do not have been approved in terms of project design. So that's it on this one. Let me go on the exercise 8. Exercise 8, it's a little bit more complex. So it's a brand new one. Or is basically a brand new one. You will not find online solutions for this one because I created it specifically for this class. So the program will read some pre-processed tweets and will extract some information about the content. So let me go for a second to the tweets. So those are the tweets. So tweets are basically with 3 columns. One is the sender, one is the timestamp. Those numbers are sequential numbers. Is a standard called epoch that is based, it's the number of seconds from the time Unix has been created. It seems to be crazy, a little bit nerdy, but it is one of the most commonly used measurement for time in information technology. And then you have the text for your tweet. So there are there are about 20,000, if I'm not wrong. Sorry about that. There are about 20,000 tweets. A little bit less. No, exactly 20,000 tweets. And I go back here. So sender, timestamp, and text. And the tweets has been collected during the relatively recent presidential debate using Trump as a keyword. So most likely you will have Trump in each one of the tweets because that was the keyword. So you may want to eliminate that word because we know that it's there because it was the keyword. So there is no input provided by the user. Data will be the file tweets.csv. You want to print the 5 most active senders, the 10 most retweeted tweets, the 5 most cited screen names, the 10 most popular hashtags, the percentage of tweets with links to web pages, and then you will sort the data set. You can do in Excel. You do not need to write, you could if you like, but you do not need to write Python code to do that. So you will sort by timestamp the file, the tweets.csv file, and then you will split it in 5 subsets of similar length, containing only the 3rd column. So basically you have buckets that are in a sort of a sequence, in a sort of temporal sequence, a time sequence, each one with 1/5 of 20,000 tweets. So that should be even. For each of those 5 subsets, you want to calculate the total sentiment from words in the set, and you want to create a word cloud with the words in the set. So the procedure. You read the file, you loop to print from 1 to 5, meaning you need to calculate and then print the 5 most active senders and all the others up to 5. Then you sort a list by timestamp, then you split into 5, then you loop into the 5 strings. You want to eliminate the stop words and generate the outputs that are in 6 and 7, meaning the sentiment and the word cloud. Now, retweets can be determined by checking if the text of a tweet start with RT. So let me go here. You can see that some of those are starting with RT. So those 2, this no, this yes, those yes, and so on. So those starting with RT is a retweet. So if it's starting with RT, then you can count as a retweet. Screen names can be determined by looking at a word starting with at. So for example, in this case, you have this user, real Donald Trump, this user, Ameriflames, and this C. Lewandowski. Those are users that are cited, that are mentioned by this Our Lady for Life user, user or screen name. Hashtags can be determined because they start with hashtag. So, there should be some, like this one, it's hashtag politics, and so on. And then web page links can be determined by looking for words starting with HTTP. Like, for example, in this case, you have HTTP right here. So it's starting with HTTP, meaning that there is a link to a web page. Sentiment can be calculated using a CSV file that is this one, where you have quoted all the words in the English dictionary. Is about 57,000 words with all plural and singulars, with all the declinations for the verbs. So basically, for each word, you have the charge of positive and the charge of negative. Some words may have a combination of the two. If you say cool, cool is probably more positive today than negative, but still there is a small component of negativeness in it. If you say terrible, is probably all negative, no positive. If you say exceptional, will probably be all positive and no negative. So you need to consider both the positive and negative for each word that you want to analyze. So the values has been normalized in the interval 0, 1, so you will never see numbers. Most of the time you have 0 because I don't know, abrasive is no negative and no positive. Abuse is negative, abusiveness and everything that is related is negative. Acceptance is positive, and so on. So the classification is not mine, but is calculated from an external source. So I created that lookup table, but the source is actually this program right here, LIWC 2015. So the words that you will see in the first column are all the words in the English dictionary without the stop words. So you can use that first column to check for stop words, meaning if a word is not in that list, you can eliminate it. So those words are all the non-stop words in English dictionaries, and then the other columns are positive and negative, as we said, and you want to use the table as a lookup. So for each word, there is a value of positive, a value of negative. For each word in each tweet, you extract the sentiment, averaging positive and negative, with the proper polarities, obviously, you do not want to add. And then add the sentiments for all the words in the subset, getting the sentiment for the entire subset. To eliminate the stop words, you can use one of the previous exercises. We used stop words underscore en txt. You can use that one, or you can use oops, you can use the first column. The first column containing contains all the words that are not stop words. So you will do the dual. If it's not, you will eliminate it. So word clouds will be generated using the script that you already used in other exercises. So that's basically all I have to say. Again, exercise 8 is not easy. There are many requirements. You have some time. I can be a little bit flexible, giving you another day, but do not start working on it the day before the due date, because it's time consuming. All right, so that's it. And if you have any question, as usual, email, call me, see me. I live in Hoboken, and my office is on Babio at the 6th floor, number 616 so far. And we can schedule an appointment if you need it, if you're local. Otherwise, either we can do a phone call, a Skype call, or whatever is appropriate for you. So that's it. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.